Y'all already know. When I go live on a Saturday or a Sunday, this is it's a big deal when I go live on a Saturday and Sunday because the schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 p.m. And I've been doing good. I was sick a day or two a couple weeks ago. Joey filled in. The show still went on, so we're hanging tight with that schedule. It's working out. We're getting good views, large crowds. But I went live last night, and I'm going live tonight because college football is absolutely nuts right now, guys. It's absolutely nuts. Y'all give me a thumbs up or yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Make sure my volume's all right. Can you hear me? Give me a yes or a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Let me know. You good? Can y'all hear going to Bluetooth? Can you hear me? All right, I'm good. All right, so I'm going live on a Sunday night, which means there's something to talk about, and it's just more craziness. But if you've watched Going to Bluetooth for any length of time, even if it's just for the past week, you already know I thrive on the craziness. I love the craziness. We started the Get It Gang this past month, using comments and making content out of that. That's been a huge success. So shout out to everybody commenting in the comments section and giving me video ideas. I mean, this thing is rolling really, really good, especially for February. We're on track to have a better month than October or November or December or January. Now, July, August, and September were our boom months. So I don't think we're going to be able to touch our boom months. But, I mean, having a month in the off season that's better than the regular season, that's saying something. And it's because of you guys. You guys have done this. So I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. You guys are making this a success in the off season. Craziness. All right, before we get into this, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you're watching the replay, you weren't able to catch the live, that's okay. That's okay, guys. Hit the thumbs up. Still helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm and gets it suggested more. People see it, click on it, and we get more views. So you're still helping the video when you hit the like, even if you're not watching the live. So keep the comments coming. If you have a specific comment, question, troll attempt, you want to make fun of me, I can handle it. Thick skin is part of it. You want it on the screen. You want it for everybody to see. You want me to address it, hit that super chat button. It's that little dollar sign that you see on the bottom right hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat is going to go on the screen, just like you see where my subscriber count is for everybody to see. I'll read it and I'll address it to the best of my ability. So it's a great way to support the channel as well. And like I always say, us YouTubers, us sports YouTubers, we always, always, always appreciate the donations and the super chats. But in the off season, we appreciate them just a little bit more because it does get tougher in the off season. I'm actually blown away at how good of a February we're having. Blown away. It should not be going this good, but it is going that good. Anyways, let's get into it. So the past 2 days, been talking about Florida State and Clemson, right? On Friday, found out that the Florida State athletic director had an interview, was talking about how Florida State's not happy with the revenue in the ACC. They want unequal revenue share. On top of that, they took a legal counsel and looked into how much it would cost for Florida State to get out of the ACC. Now, there's a little controversy going on with the number that they gave, but they gave $120 million to get out of the ACC. But a lot of people are saying, well, that doesn't count the grant of rights. So even if they pay the $120 million, yes, they can leave the ACC because that's the exit fee. But their grant of rights would still be with the ACC. So any home games, that revenue is going to go to the ACC because they're in that grant of rights. So I saw a comment earlier today, and I did a video on it, right? And the suggestion was, well, maybe Florida State, if they do leave and they're still stuck in the grant of rights, they can schedule more away games. That way they're not taking that big of a hit. That sucks, but yeah, if you want to make up some of that revenue, you're going to have to schedule more away games. But then I got to thinking, what does the SEC like to do? the SEC likes to schedule neutral site games with Power Fives. So why not do that with the Florida State or Clemson if they come into the SEC, right? I mean, Florida State is getting the money; they're able to get at least half, or they could hold it. They could call it neutral site, but give most of the tickets to Florida State. I don't know how they would do that, get around the grant of rights, but there are ways to get around that. So. I don't know. And then yesterday, Clemson athletic director said the same thing. They didn't go as far as saying they're thinking about leaving the ACC, but they definitely mentioned unequal revenue share. Already got some super chats rolling in. Appreciate it, guys. John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation, says that last pod was its own leg. Just toss in Memphis, East Carolina, and a few others and be Dirty Dozen Conference. I like that name. The Dirty Dozen Conference. Not bad opinion. I'm just going to, here we go. I got you. And if I don't use those exact teams, I like that phrase, the Dirty Dozen Conference. And boom, there you go, a video I did. That's how we roll here at Golden Blue, the Dirty Dozen Conference. Awesome, man. Cyclone Steve, thank you for the $5 donation, says ACC is getting $17 million. The Pac is getting $20 million, excluding bowl season, championship, March Madness, etc. The postseason. Yes, I got you. Does flying across the country fix their problems? That's a great question. So you guys are already talking about it, so let's get into it. So today's video I did on something that I saw from Sideline Sports Network. And they posted something. I don't know if this was on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know. But what they posted was, they said Forbes reports that following the Pac-12's media negotiations, talks are likely to resume between the Pac-12 and ACC regarding a partnership known as the APAC, the Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference. I don't like that name. That's a little cheesy. Both conferences believe the merger, so they straight up say it. They straight up say it. Merger would lead to a greater media deal in 4 years' time. How did they come up with 4 years' time? My gosh. Would you be in favor of seeing the two conferences merge? I really don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. But I don't think it helps the ACC or the Pac-12. I'm trying to figure out how they came up with it would lead to a greater media deal within 4 years' time. So if they merged, it wouldn't lead to a better media deal right now. And 4 years, how did you come up with 4 years? I don't know. Anyways, with this merger, so I looked into it and I tried to think of, and y'all help me out. If y'all think of any more pros or any more cons, shout them out. I'll write them down. The pros I wrote down. Number one, stability. It would provide some stability. It would. Pac-12 doesn't have a TV deal. The ACC does. Even if they don't gain any money, perhaps they lose a little bit of money, it's still stable. Stability. The second pro is possible increase in revenue. It is possible. Do I think it would happen? No. I don't think they would get an increase. They might stay the same or lose some, but it's possible. The third pro was increase ACC numbers needed to dissolve grant of rights, making it basically impossible. That's a huge pro because the people that looked into the ACC grant of rights for me have said, yes, it does exist. Right now, the number is 8. If 8 teams get together and take a vote and vote to dissolve the grant of rights, I think there's extra steps after that, but that's what gets the ball rolling, and that's how you can dissolve the ACC. Well, if you merge with the Pac-12, those numbers go up. You go from a 14-team conference to a 24-team conference. So the number of teams or universities needed to vote to dissolve the grant of rights would probably go up in the neighborhood of 14, maybe 16, something like that. So it would, and that goes back to stability. The ACC definitely wouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon. The fourth pro would be ensure existence. I mean, that kind of ties into everything because right now the ACC, they're looking at teams threatening to leave. At bare minimum, they want unequal revenue share, and the Pac-12, they don't have a TV deal. So yeah, they are definitely on the brink of extinction. The fifth pro might increase the likelihood of Notre Dame joins as a full-time football member. That's a great pro right there. And that would most certainly increase the TV deal in revenue, because Notre Dame is probably the biggest brand out. Everybody wants Notre Dame. Heck, even if the SEC thought they had a shot at Notre Dame, guess what? They'd be trying. They just know they don't. I think the Big Ten thinks they do, so they've been courting Notre Dame for like the past 50 years. ACC still thinks they have a shot. I think they might have a shot, because right now, if Notre Dame were to join a conference, it has to be the ACC if they join a conference before 2036. But it just depends on if NBC will be able to pony up the money that Notre Dame wants. And from what I'm hearing, NBC is trying to get a lucrative contract with the NBA, and that puts out the possibility that NBC might not have enough money for Notre Dame. They could still pay Notre Dame, but nowhere in the neighborhood of between 60 and 80 million which is what Notre Dame wants. So, with this merger, could increase the likelihood of Notre Dame joining as a full-time football member. Does it guarantee it? No, absolutely not. Does it shoot the chances through the roof? No, absolutely not. I just think it increases it by a little bit, because you already have the soft ACC schedule that you already have, and you're bringing in Stanford, which is a rival, and you're able to keep a national brand while being a member of a conference. Because one of the biggest things that Notre Dame likes to pound their chest about and brag about is they like to be a national brand and make whatever schedule they want to make. Well, with the Pac-12 ACC merger, I mean, you have a lot of teams to choose from, and you still have your out-of-conference games where you can still play USC, Navy, and whoever else you want to play. So, yeah, I do think it slightly increases the likelihood that Notre Dame would join this APAC. Cyclone Steve, thank you for the generous $10 Super Chat donation, says, if ESPN says no to SEC Big 12 adding ACC schools, then unless the Big Ten takes all 8, the ACC is stuck until 2036, falling behind with their $17 million deal. And Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina have no leverage for unequal payouts. I'm not sure about that last part of your comment, but you're absolutely right. If ESPN, well, the Big 12 falls under Fox. So if Fox tells the Big 12, no, don't add any ACC schools, or ESPN tells the SEC, no, don't add any SEC schools, then, yeah, the only way the ACC dissolves is for the Big Ten to take 8 members, because that's the number. From what I'm told, 8 is the number. So they would have to promise 8 teams a spot, and I just don't see that happening. And I do think that those teams would be stuck in the ACC, and they would start falling behind. But I do think that Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina would have leverage, because there's still that, buying your way out. I don't know if the $120 million counts with the grant of rights. And if it doesn't, you could go with that suggestion in the comment that I did with that video, as to where you could schedule more away games or neutral site games. That way you can get more TV media deals. Does that suck? Yes, it does suck to have less home games. We're talking, scheduling maybe 3, 4 at the most home games, and then you're scheduling either 2 or 3 extra road games or neutral site games. There are ways around it, so I do think they would have leverage. But the question is, would the ACC cave? Dennis M., thank you for the $2 donation. What's your thoughts on Coca-Cola? Not a fan of Coca-Cola. The story behind Pepsi is, I actually got a job at Pepsi in my early 20s, worked for them for 5 years, and, you get free stuff there. You get free Pepsi, and I just started drinking Pepsi a lot. Before then, I still preferred Pepsi over Coca-Cola, but I don't know if it's the same now, but back then when you worked for Pepsi or Coca-Cola, you were not allowed to drink the competitor, ever. If you were caught, you were going to be written up, and they were going to be looking at you closely. Like, you could be it's out there. It's in the contract whenever you sign to work for them, which I don't know if they still do all this, but it's in there. If we catch you drinking any of our competitors, not just Coca-Cola, but RC and whoever, then it's going to be a bad day. So, I was drinking a lot of Pepsi, and it just turned into that. But as far as Coke goes, I mean, it's not terrible, but I'm not a fan. I really am not. I'm not a fan. John Marzullo, one of my many Pitt subscribers. I welcome Pitt fans to subscribe to Golden Blue. It's much more likely NBC gets NBA and frees up ESPN money to add Notre Dame plus another and renegotiate a much bigger TV deal. That's interesting. So John Marzullo thinks that NBC will get the NBA and ESPN will be able to free up some money, and they're going to want to add Notre Dame plus another team to the ACC to keep that intact, even though it won't be anything approaching to the SEC and Big Ten as far as payout goes. If they can pay out, something in the neighborhood of $50 million, that's still a bargain. You still have big time brands, and if you can get Notre Dame in there, and here's the one caveat, and I might do a video on this. Let me write this down real quick because it just entered my head. For the ACC, getting Notre Dame, they might have to agree to unequal revenue share to get them. And I think if Notre Dame says yes, we will 100% join, if we get unequal revenue share. I think the ACC would bend the knee and they would for sure give them unequal revenue share, and it might be a significant gap, upwards 5%, and that's a big deal. John Teal, thank you for the $2 donation, says the Big 10 take 4, Big 12 take 4, 8 teams to vote. Yeah, exactly. So if that's a great counterpoint because both the Big 10 and the Big 12 are Fox. So if ESPN is telling those teams, don't vote, we're not going to take you in the SEC, we want the ACC to stay intact, and Fox is like, all right, Big 10, you get your teams. Big 12, you go and get your 4 teams, tell them they're going to make more, and that's how we can, tear up the ACC. And then the SEC wouldn't have a choice. They would have to add members, and they would be running the risk of not getting the teams that they actually wanted. That's a great counterpoint. And you know what? This is like 3 video ideas on a live show. Let's see. And honestly, on that one, sorry guys, on that one, I'm actually going to take a screenshot. That way I can put it in the Get It Gang thing. So since I have the screenshot, I don't have to write it down. Anyways, yeah, exactly right. If ESPN tells the SEC, don't take them. We want the ACC to stay together because we are paying pennies on the dollar. Do not take them. It could still fall apart because, like John Teal is pointing out, Big 10 wants 4, Big 12 wants 4. That's 8 teams. Bye-bye AC. And then the SEC is like, I guess we do got to pick them up. And now we lost, let's see, who did we lose? We lost Virginia. Virginia went to the Big 12. We wanted NC State. NC State went to the Big 12. I still think that Clemson and Florida State would be available. So they would get those 2 major brands. But the 2 brands behind them, they would probably lose to the Big 12, maybe even to the Big 10. I don't know, because I know they want Florida State. I don't think they'd be able to get Florida State either way. I think Florida State wants to go to the Big 10. That's why they're actively pursuing AAU status. And the SEC and Florida State haven't gotten along in a very long time. Florida State applied to the SEC multiple times, got denied. And then whenever the SEC did invite Florida State, so did the ACC. And Florida State was like, we're going to take the ACC. That's an easier road to the championship. National championship, and it's been rocky ever since. Florida State really doesn't want anything to do with the SEC. But there's still a lot of people that think it's a done deal that Florida State, if they leave, are going to the SEC. I think it's far more likely that they go to the Big 10. I just don't think that they're willing to look past all that bad blood that's going on. All right, so anyways, with the Pac-12 and the ACC merger, if it does happen, I gave out my pods for the possible teams. Now, in the post that Sideline Sports Network posted, they have San Diego State and SMU in there. Give me 1 second, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would have to redo these. But anyways, they have San Diego State and SMU in. I guess they're assuming that it's a done deal. They're going to vote them in, blah, blah, blah. If they're talking a merger, then I'm sorry, San Diego State and SMU won't be coming with them because the only thing that San Diego State and SMU does for the Pac-12 is perhaps make the Pac-12 more appetizing to get a TV deal with, they were talking to Apple TV, Amazon, possibly ESPN, whoever. But if you're doing a merger, the ACC is going to be like, that's 2 extra teams, and that's two extra brands that don't add value. Do not add SMU and San Diego State. Headgum, another video idea. Give me 1 second. Wow, like 4. So ACC tells Pac-12 not add SMU and San Diego State if they want to merge. And I think that could be a real thing because, number one, if they merge with San Diego State and SMU as members, then that puts the number at 26. So the ACC would have to get 2 more to get it to 28. That way they could go to pods. But if they don't add San Diego State and SMU, then the number is 24. I mean, there's so many types of pods you could do with 24. I would do 4 pods of 6 in that particular case. So if they came with San Diego State and SMU, then, the ACC would have to add 2 teams as well to get it up to 28. I had them adding Notre Dame because Notre Dame deciding to join full-time finally, and Memphis. No, I didn't choose West Virginia. Are you surprised? I bet you are. I did not choose West Virginia in this scenario. So for the 4 pods, I had Washington State, Oregon State, Stanford, Cal, and San Diego State. Makes a ton of sense, right? Second pod was Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, Louisville. Man, I got to redo this because there was 2 out of that. I'm going to say Louisville and let's say Georgia Tech. No, wait, that's before. I'm confusing myself, guys. I really am. Go back to the 4 pods of 7. This is with San Diego State and SMU. So first pod, Washington State, Oregon State, Stanford, Cal, and San Diego State. All right, the second one. I'll get to y'all super chats. Give me 1 second. Second pod was Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, SMU, Memphis, and Louisville. Still a good pod. Third pod was Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and Notre Dame. Great pod right there. And then finally, North Carolina, Duke, NC State, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and the Miami Hurricanes. I like that pod as well. All right, let me get to these super chats before I redo this real quick. Muhammad Ahaz, or is it Ajah? I think it's Ahaz. I think that's right. Muhammad Ahaz. If I'm butchering your name, buddy, please let me know in the comments section. I'm not trying to offend anybody and get your name wrong, so please tell me. But I appreciate your $5 super chat donation. Says Big Ten adds Florida State, North Carolina, Duke, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. So I've been mentioning those first 4. He's adding in Notre Dame. I like it. And he gives a reason too. Because NBC plus NBA, college football playoffs as well, Cal plus Stanford to lower Notre Dame, and Texas A&M, since they're unhappy with Texas in the SEC. That you know what? Hold on. I'm going to screenshot that, man. That is one loaded super chat right there. So he's saying the Big Ten gets 4 out of the ACC: Florida State, North Carolina, Duke, Georgia Tech. They also are able to reel in Notre Dame. Because NBC can't shell out the money. They're going to pick up the NBA and some college football playoff games. Very possible. And the Big Ten also gets Cal and Stanford, part of the way they lure in Notre Dame. And Texas A&M, which I've done videos on Texas A&M. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 spots. And you look at all those brands, pretty good brands. Probably the only brand that doesn't add anything at all. I don't see any. North Carolina and Florida State, great football brands. Duke is going to just come with North Carolina. That might be the worst, especially since their basketball's down. Georgia Tech, fertile recruiting area right there in the city of Atlanta. And you get Cal and Stanford for more rivalries for Notre Dame. You bring in Notre Dame. The fact that you land Notre Dame in this scenario makes everything else possible. And then the cherry on top is Texas A&M flopping from the SEC to the Big Ten. I would say also that they switch. I think Nebraska could go to the SEC and then Texas A&M to the Big Ten, which means if you want to add another team, you need to make sure you get another big brand. Maybe they add a Washington in that scenario. Great comment. I screenshotted it, and I will do a video on it. I got you, buddy. John Teal, thank you for the $2 donation. Says Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Pitt. You're welcome, GBD. Are you talking about to the Big 12? No, I don't think the Big 12 can reel those cats in. But if they're that unhappy and they get paid a little bit more, which you bring in those 4 teams and you're renegotiating. You know what? I'm gonna screenshot that too. I think that's a good video idea. A good video idea doesn't mean something that you think is going to happen. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, but I think that's an entertaining topic. I think people would like that and watch it. So, yeah, I appreciate the content. As far as the Big 12 actually being able to reel them in, it just depends on how mad those teams are at the ACC, and if the Big Ten is going to get some teams too. That way, you dissolve the ACC, and maybe some of those teams use the Big 12 as a stepping stone, like Clemson, Florida State. And they're like, we just did that so we can get out of the ACC. Now we're going to go to either the SEC or the Big Ten. I mean, there would be a lot of, steps to it. But, yeah, I would say it's possible. Matt Ridson, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Says Big Ten Conference got TV deal, Fox, CBS, and NBC. Yes, they are loaded. Very, very loaded. But Jazz, I got you. They're very, very loaded. But the main partner they have is Fox with their Tier 1 rights. John Marzula, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Says state officials will stop a lot of this in Virginia and North Carolina. It does run through Tobacco Road. Very, very possible, John Marzula, but they can't stop teams from leaving the ACC and paying the $120 million buyout. And then, even if they're stuck in the grant of rights when they leave, I mentioned the ways to get around that. Schedule more away games or neutral site games, and you can pocket more of that money. But I do agree with you. I think that's very, very possible, especially North Carolina. The pulse of the ACC beats through the state of North Carolina, especially through Tobacco Road. Muhammad, is it Ajaz or Jazz? I'm guessing Ajaz. Ajaz. Last name is pronounced Ajaz. Is it Ajaz or Jazz? Just tell me in the comments, Mohammed, is it give me 2 A's if it's Jazz and give me 1 A if it's Jaws. I want to make sure I lock that down because I've seen you super chat before, and I guarantee it, I butchered your name before. So just let me know in the comments real quick. 2 A's for a long A, for Jazz, and one A for a short A, Jaws. I know he said Jazzz, but is that Jazz or Jazz? So Jazz. Okay, it is Jazz. Thank you, John, for explaining that, even though I still don't know if you're 100% correct. Anyways, we're going to go with Jazz for now, unless I'm corrected. So it is Muhammad Jazz. Thank you for politely. You didn't jump on my case. You politely corrected me. I appreciate that. But if this is a possibility, and 2 A's, it is Jazz. Gotcha. DDW said Jazz. We nailed it. Figured it out. Another mystery solved here at Golden Blue. So if this is on the table, and this is a big if, I don't know. You just don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But if this is on the table, then the Pac-12 will not add San Diego State and SMU. The ACC will be like, look, those 2 brands do not add any value. It'll just water it down. It's just 2 more pieces of the pie. So if you're an SMU fan or a San Diego State fan, which I definitely know that I have some San Diego State subscribers, you better hope that this merger is not on the table, because that is bad news for your team. Unless it's already been voted on and they're like, ACC, we have San Diego State, so you got to take us with San Diego State if you want to take us. It's a done deal. They're voted in. That's the only way. If they've already voted and San Diego State is a member of the Pac-12, then there's no way around that. But if they're not already voted in, then you better believe, if you're a San Diego State fan, you better be hoping that this is not on the table, because I guarantee you the ACC is going to be saying that no SMU, no San Diego State, 2 more brands going to water it down, and our TV deal is going to look like absolute crap. Sure, you got great brands. You got Washington. You got Oregon. Utah's in there. Colorado. The value of Colorado is going through the roof. People don't realize that. Well, some people do, but a lot of people still don't understand just how important that hire was for Colorado to go out and get Coach Prime. I think Colorado knows something, because I mean that was a splash hire, and I know that's what they needed to do, but I didn't know that Colorado had a chance with Deion Sanders. So I'm thinking that Colorado knows something, and they used the information that they knew as a pitch to Deion Sanders. All right, Deion, we know that if we can get our revenue up, which by grabbing you, we know our revenue will go up, we'll be a much more valuable brand, that we will have an offer on the table by, let's say, the Big Ten or the SEC. Pick your poison. Either one is fine. Either one would fit. I would lean towards the Big Ten. So the Big Ten has told us, Deion, that if we can get our brand up, they like our location, they like our academics, we bring resources that they like. It's just our football program is shaky. So our pitch to you is, even though we're in the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 looks shaky, we actually know that if we get our brands up, our brand value up, that the Big Ten has said that they will let us in the next, before our old TV deal is up. So we're talking in the next year or so. I think the Pac-12's TV deal runs out in 2024, something like that. I don't know the exact dates, but I could see that, because whenever I did my videos on the predictions on where Deion Sanders might go as a new head coach, because I knew Auburn was interested, I knew Georgia Tech would have hired him. Who else? Well, Florida State, but Mike Norvell was doing a great job anyway, so I knew they were off the table. So I listed a bunch of teams. I knew Colorado was looking for a new head coach, but I didn't think that they would try to get Deion Sanders, because I didn't think they have a chance. And I didn't think that he would consider Colorado. Well, not only did they take a chance and offer him, but he took the Colorado job. And I think it's because Colorado knows something that the rest of us don't know. It's the quiet teams that you got to look out for. Think about it. Every time there's been a big-time conference realignment, it's the quiet teams that have done something. We've heard that Arizona is not happy. We've heard that Arizona State's mad as well. But we've heard nothing from Utah and Colorado. Before it was announced that UCLA and USC was going to the Big Ten, who were we not hearing from? We were not hearing from USC and UCLA officials, fans, whatever you call it. They were being silent. Before Texas and Oklahoma were added, who was not saying anything? Oklahoma and Texas. You gotta watch out for the quiet ones. Seriously, you got to watch out for the quiet ones. Now, the SEC had a particular reason why they wanted to keep things quiet, because they knew that Texas A&M wasn't going to be happy, and they didn't want Texas A&M to raise a stink. So they had reasons. But the point is, look around, and Washington and Oregon applying to the Big Ten, making noise, and the Big Ten turning them down. That makes me believe maybe they don't have a shot. Maybe the Big Ten is looking at somebody else. So let's look around. Who's being quiet? Utah and Colorado. I'm telling you. Another video idea. That's, 5 just from this live show? Give me 1 second. That's just how my brain works. And if I don't write it down or screenshot it, if it's on the screen, I'll forget it. Anyways, let's get to the super chat. Muhammad Jazz, got it. Thank you for the $5 super chat donation. Says, last one. SEC gets Clemson, Miami, Virginia, NC State. Whoa. Was not expecting this long of a list. NC State, West Virginia, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Wow. Big Ten gets Pitt, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and San Diego State. Get it. I can buy all that except for San Diego State. I don't see, and I know we said that, we were probably saying that last year or 2 months ago. Pac-12 would never add San Diego State, their academics and research and all that stuff. Well, they're going to add them because they lost USC and UCLA, and they're getting desperate. Unless this merger is on the table, then they won't add San Diego State. Think about that. We've heard a lot of buzz that the Pac-12 is adding SMU and San Diego State, right? A lot, but no announcement. They're saying it's going to happen. They're saying it's a done deal, but the Pac-12 is saying nothing. They're saying nothing. Could it be that this merger is what's being talked about behind closed doors? And the reason they're saying nothing about San Diego State and SMU is because they're not adding them. Because they're merging with the ACC, and the ACC is like, no, don't add any brands. It's not going to add to the TV deal. Let's keep this at 24. We can do better pods. You're not adding, just more mouths to feed. And I think we can get a decent TV deal with the brands that we have. A better TV deal with the brands that we have. I'm telling you, it makes sense. When you really start to sit down and think about these things, it makes sense. Now, I might be wrong, and tomorrow on Monday, the Pac-12 finally announces they're adding San Diego State, and I'm guessing SMU, even though it's gone kind of radio silence on SMU, but it could be. They could announce tomorrow. But every day that they don't announce San Diego State and SMU as new members, and they don't announce the Pac-12 having a TV deal, then it's just another day for Pac-12 fans to be nervous. And I know they're probably talking to each other, and they know what we don't. But to me, it tells me that they know they don't have a TV deal. It looks bad. Muhammad Ajaz, thank you for the $2 donation, says Big 20. Why did I read 2 X's as Big 10? My bad, dude. Not Big 10, assuming Big 12 expands. Let me go back. Okay, let me read. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know why I read it as Big 10. Big 20. Let me go back and read that correctly. All right. He says, last one, SEC gets Clemson, Miami, Virginia, NC State, West Virginia, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Big 20, not Big 10, as in Big 12 adding teams. Big 20 gets Louisville, and I think I missed Louisville, by the way. Louisville, Pitt, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and San Diego State. That actually makes more sense because I don't think the Big Ten would get Louisville, Virginia Tech until they get AU status. I don't even think Syracuse has AU status. They wouldn't get San Diego State either. So that, and thank you for correcting me. It actually makes sense now. That's actually pretty awesome, buddy. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Anthony Carlson, thank you for the $9.99 donation. Says, to add to your video idea of Colorado and Utah joining the Big Ten, Stanford and Cal. You know what? I'm going to write it down. I got you. And because you commented that, I am going to, oops. There we go. Screenshot it. You're good to go, buddy. Stanford and Cal. Got it. Got it. And I think it does make sense. Did I miss one up here? I think I missed. No, it's new. Oops. Gotcha. John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, oh, he's actually asking Muhammad a question. Muhammad, if West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech left the Big 12, why would the four corners, Oregon, Washington, and San Diego State, jump ship? Wouldn't it be logical for the Big 12 teams to go west? Let me read that again. It says, if West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech left the Big 12 going to the SEC, right? Why would the four corners, Oregon, Washington, and San Diego State, jump ship? Well, it's because the Big 12 still has a TV deal. And just because teams will be jumping ship, the deal is still there. So as long as the Pac-12, I'm answering your question for you. As long as the Pac-12 doesn't have a TV deal, that's why it would happen that way. Now, if the Pac-12 gets a TV deal that's at least competitive, then yes, I could see it happening the other way. But we have to go by what we're hearing, what we're seeing. And what we're hearing and what we're seeing right now is nothing. Radio silence. I'm taking that as there's no TV deal yet. I mean, why would you want to not, especially when you're getting bad publicity? I mean, negative, getting just, dog. And I get it. I don't care that people trash talk me. As long as you know who I am, that's, you know what I do. I'm entertaining. I'm not trying to be right or wrong or predict anymore. I learned my lesson. This is not predictions anymore. This is strictly entertainment. So I understand the trash talk, but this is different. Everybody already knows who the Pac-12 is. So stirring up negative publicity as the Pac-12, that's a bad look. It's not good. So if you have a TV deal, you should be rushing to the newsstand to announce it. So I'm convinced that they don't have a TV deal until it's announced. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have a great TV deal. I don't know. I'm just going by what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing nothing. Going back to the, what do y'all think about the pros and cons? Do the pros outweigh, and I'm going to repeat them, but the question is this. For the possibility of this merger between the Pac-12 and the ACC, do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros? So the pros were this: stability, possible revenue increase, not definite, but possible. It would increase the ACC numbers needed to dissolve the grant of rights, making it basically impossible. In other words, stability. It's not dissolving. Ensure existence. It's kind of the same thing. I keep repeating myself, I guess. Stability. And finally, might increase the, drank a lot of Pepsi. Might increase the likelihood of Notre Dame joining as a full-time football member. Might. I'm seeing a lot of possible and might. Now, for the cons, for sure, combines the problems of two conferences into one. We're not talking about the SEC and the Big Ten combining. We're talking about the Pac-12 and the ACC. Two conferences that are having problems turning into one. That's a lot of problems. The second thing is, for real, no maybe, not sort of, crazy travel and logistics issues. The Big Ten, I know they added USC and UCLA, and they'll probably add Cal and Stanford to help with travels. But they're making a lot more money to make up for the travel expenses. If this merger were to happen, they're not going to make that type of money. So the travel and logistics issues are going to be much, much worse. The third con would be bigger brands in the ACC want unequal revenue share, which could make Oregon and Washington, if this merger were to happen, want the same thing if the ACC Pac-12 merges. And we've already heard rumors that they want unequal revenue share while in the Pac-12. So that wouldn't change, and more teams might want unequal revenue share. So it could be the unequal revenue share virus, and it just spreads like a wildfire. The next con would be it might actually not increase the revenue, and teams end up getting a smaller cut. You think things are bad now, ACC fans? Could be way worse if you merge with the Pac-12. Remember, this is not two TV deals combined into one. The Pac-12, as far as we know, does not have a TV deal. And finally, the last con is having 26 members makes having pods almost impossible. Now, that's if they are for sure adding SMU and San Diego State. But I'm going to take that con off because if, and this is a big if, I don't know, if this merger is on the table, then I don't think the Pac-12 would be adding San Diego State and SMU because the ACC is like, this is not happening if you add SMU and San Diego State. That's two more mouths to feed. We can't afford it. Don't add them. So I got to take that con off. But that's some big cons. I would say the cons outweigh the pros because if you look at the pros, I mean, I repeated stability like 3 times, just said it in different ways. And then the other things were possible and might. With the cons, it's for sure. It's going to combine problems of two conferences into one big problem conference. Crazy travel logistics issues. It's going to happen. Bigger brands wanting unequal revenue share. You're going to have more bigger brands wanting unequal revenue share. And then the last thing might not increase the revenue. So the teams that are getting a small cut now might get an even smaller cut. This does not sound like a good idea. I think if this merger were to happen, this would be a win for the Pac-12 and a loss for the ACC. John Teal, thank you for the $2 donation, says, plus SMU and San Diego State, 3 Texas, and 3 California. Wait, let me go back to your. I think you're adding on to the previous comment. Let me see. I think I missed that comment. My bad, dude. John Teal, previous comment said the remaining Big 12 teams: Kansas State, TCU, and Houston. And then this one plus SMU, San Diego State, 3 Texas, and 3 California. So he's talking about 3 Texas teams and 3 California teams. Are you talking? And I'm assuming he's talking about the Big 12. Yeah, remaining Big 12s. Big 12. And then plus Kansas State as well. Who are the other teams? I think I lost who the other teams were. Let me look up your other comment. He was responding to Muhammad. My bad. I get mixed up sometimes, guys. But this merger idea is terrible for the ACC, great for the Pac-12. They're getting bailed out. And, a little bit of money is better than no money. For the ACC, I get that Florida State and Clemson are wanting unequal revenue share, and they're kind of, sort of hinting at leaving the ACC. We don't know how serious they are, but if they catch wind of the Pac-12 merger, I don't think that they're going to vote for it. They're going to be like, we're not voting for this, and on top of that, we're jumping ship. So, I mean, if it could get passed, maybe it could save the remaining of the ACC. But the teams that want unequal revenue share, they will stop dragging their feet, and they'll stop asking for unequal revenue share, and they're just going to bounce. So it's a win for one side, and it's a big fat L for the other side. It's exactly what the Pac-12 would need, because their TV deal negotiations are going terrible. I mean, this is the biggest soap opera I've ever seen as far as conference realignment, and just the direction of the Pac-12. I don't understand it. It's almost like you hear something different every day, and then people that you trust as a source, national source, they mess up as well. Like Brittany Murphy coming out and saying Apple TV never offered, and now they're interested in Ion Television. And then another source, Monty, said, no, we talked to Ion, voice to voice, face to face, whatever. And they said they didn't know what he was talking about. So nobody knows who the Pac-12 is actually talking to. That's why, what was the name of that source? Sideline Sports Network even made that post. I don't think the ACC would be interested in the merger. I don't, because I don't see any way this actually helps the ACC. It can start a bigger epidemic as far as unequal revenue share. You already have teams popping up saying, hey, we want unequal revenue share because we make more money. We want more money. You bring in the Pac-12, you're going to have Washington, Oregon, maybe Utah, Stanford probably, possibly Colorado, since their brand is up. You're going to add more teams and be like, oh, we want unequal revenue share as well. I mean, Washington, Oregon have already expressed it since being in the Pac-12, not even talking about this merger. Richard L., thank you. Excuse me. It was a long day, guys. I'm very, very tired. Richard L., thank you for the $4.99 donation. Says Colorado former AD is current USC AD. Mike Bond, probably let CU into some inside info. I am taking a screenshot of that. I didn't realize that. That kind of fits into what I was saying earlier. Actually, that fits in exactly. So that comment that super chat, and I appreciate your support, buddy. That super chat right there fits in exactly what I was saying earlier, and I wrote that down as a video idea. But I'm going to add that. What do I do with that pin? Dadgummit, why do I do that? Former AD, now USC. Yep. So USC is headed to the Big Ten for sure. Mike Bond is now the current USC AD, but he was a former Colorado AD. He could have given Colorado some inside information as far as possible interest from the Big Ten. That goes back to what I was talking about, Deion Sanders. How did Colorado land Deion Sanders? And why did Deion Sanders go there? What drew him there? Colorado and Deion Sanders, it just doesn't make sense to me. I thought Auburn would have made more sense, Georgia Tech, the list goes on. Well, what would make sense if Colorado, like Richard L. is saying with the AD, getting inside information possibly from their former AD, who's now the USC AD, saying, hey, the Big Ten is actually interested in you, but you need to do something about your football. If you go out and make a splash hire, I promise you, your chances of getting into the Big Ten go through the roof. That's a good pitch for Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, I know we're Colorado. We just had a terrible season. Our team looked like crap. You really don't have a great reason to come here. But here's the thing. So our former AD is now the AD at USC, and he's telling us that if we can make a splash hire, the Big Ten is actually going to pull us in. So that's where you come in. We're going to hire you, and it is a good contract right off the bat, but it's not like, Nick Saban or whatever. But it's decent. But knowing that they're headed to the Big Ten, he knows that Colorado will be able to pay him even more. It makes sense. It makes sense. And that was the last piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Richard L. That was an amazing super chat right there, buddy. I did not know that. Kenny Evans, thank you for the $5 donation, says, FSU should be ticked off. I agree. UCF will jump them in dollar amounts by joining the Big 12. Holy crap. Didn't think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will make 6 video ideas. And I'm going to screenshot that, by the way. I am going to screenshot that. Let's see. UCF will jump FSU in dollars by joining Big 12. I never thought of that. Holy cow. I never thought of that, Kenny. And it's true. Lowly UCF. I'm saying lowly. They're actually a really good school, and they have one of the largest on-campus student bodies in the entire nation. They're on the up and up. I expect UCF to eventually be in the SEC or Big Ten. But lowly UCF about to pass Florida State in revenue simply because they're in a conference that has a better TV deal. You are absolutely right. Florida State should be ticked off. Wow. I never thought of it that way. Brilliant video idea. Awesome. Good job, buddy. John Teal, thank you for the $2 donations. How do you do the red highlight on the name? I just touched the name on the screen. So if you touch the name, this is just going to highlight for you on the comments. When I touch it, whatever I touch is going to pop on the screen. For me, it's blue, but I'm guessing for you it's red. So that's how I put the super chats on the screen. I just touch the comment and it pops up. That's how you do it. So think about that, people. UCF making more money than Florida State. No wonder they're mad. Man. Oof. I get it. I get it. I understand. I mean, I understood before, they make a lot of money for the ACC, and yet they're not making a lot of money from the ACC. But that's just got to be that extra elbow right in the ribs. UCF making more than Florida. Man, right? Oh, that's going to be a great video right there. And Florida State fans are going to be super. They're not going to be mad at me. They're going to be mad at reality because maybe a lot of them are not thinking about that. And man, Clemson, yep. I mean, you already know Clemson fans, athletic director, all that stuff. They're mad because they already know. They know for sure South Carolina is going to be making a truck load more money than they do. So they already know. But that was that was a great comment that I never thought. UCF making more than Florida State. I don't agree with it, but I can understand South Carolina making more than Clemson. South Carolina has been in the SEC for forever, since the 1960s. And the SEC, they make more money than the ACC. That's not a surprise. But thinking about UCF making more than Florida State, it really blows my mind. It's a fact, but it blows my mind. It does. It does. But at least Florida State knows that they're making more than Washington. That's got to sting if you're a Washington fan. Oh. John Teal, another $2 donation, says, not just Florida State. Miami, too, second in state. Yeah, UCF making more than both. Well, not combined, but more than Florida State and Miami. Oof, that's rough. And if you take it another step, Florida State, even though they're making less than UCF, and Miami, even though they're making less than UCF, right now they're making more than Washington and Oregon. No wonder why Washington and Oregon's mad right now, too. I mean, you got Florida State fans mad because, or officials too, everybody mad because Florida State's making less than UCF. Same with Miami fans. They're mad. They're making less money than UCF. And then you got Washington over there. They're like, shut up. You're making more than us. That must suck to make less than UCF, but we make less than you. So shut up. I don't want to hear it. It's terrible over here. That's why we want this merger. I think it would benefit us both. It would most certainly benefit the Pac-12. I'm not totally convinced that it would benefit the ACC. A lot of buts, maybes, possiblies, perhaps. But in the con territory, the negative, there's a lot of solid negative stuff. Like this would be a result of the merger. I don't know about this merger, and I just think eventually the Pac-12 is going to get picked apart. I don't think this merger is going to happen, but it would be interesting to see because I don't know about the money situation, but it would stabilize the conference if they somehow got it passed. I think they would definitely last till 2026 or 2036. Excuse me. Maybe even past that if they can renegotiate after 2036. So it just depends on if they can get it passed. If they can get it passed, then the APAC will exist until 2036 for sure. I just don't know how it benefits the ACC members. It greatly benefits the Pac-12 members because they don't have a TV deal at all. At least that gets them their foot in the door. Back with ESPN, possibly Fox. I don't know, but this is just crazy, guys. Crazy. So let's go back to the list and read the video ideas that I have gotten through your guys' super chats and my random thinking. So tonight's video ideas through the live show, and this is just through this live show, guys. The Dirty Dozen Conference. Not sure how I'm going to format that video, but I'll figure it out. The next one is Notre Dame unequal revenue share if they join the ACC. If Notre Dame does decide to join the ACC, they're going to want unequal revenue share. That's a good video right there. ACC tells Pac-12 to not add SMU and San Diego State if they want to merge. I think that could be a real thing. They're like, hey, if you're for real, if you want to merge, don't add San Diego State, SMU. They're just more mouths to feed. The next video idea was Utah and Colorado being quiet. Watch out for the quiet ones. And adding on to that, the former Colorado athletic director is now the UC. Struggling tonight, guys. USC AD. The former Colorado AD is now the USC AD, and maybe he gave Colorado some information, which is the reason how they were able to get Deion Sanders. I need to make sure I write that down because I forgot to do that. Inside info about Big Ten, and that's how they got Deion Sanders. There you go. That was the next video. So Utah and Colorado are being silent, and like I've mentioned in all the previous conference realignments, it was the quiet universities that made the biggest moves. So I think the Big Ten could actually end up adding Stanford and Cal high on the list, but also instead of Oregon and Washington, Utah and Colorado. Maybe Washington and Colorado. I don't know. And the reason Colorado was able to hire Deion Sanders is because their former athletic director is now at USC, and he fed them some inside information telling them, hey, Colorado, if you can somehow make your football brand more valuable, you're going to have a good shot at the Big Ten. So Colorado goes out and talks to Deion Sanders. Hey, we know we're Colorado. We know we sucked last year. Recruiting's terrible. Why would you want to come to Colorado, right? The reason you want to come to Colorado is we have information that the Big Ten will bring us in if we can make a splash hire and we can increase the value of our football brand. Boom, Deion Sanders. And finally, the last video idea that I came up with through this live show was UCF will jump Florida State in revenue by joining the Big 12. Oof. That's got to sting, guys. That has got to sting. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this live show. I did as well. I'd really like to have a longer live show for tonight. But tonight is a school night. I have to get up early and do the whole school routine and be nice and refreshed for the actual videos too. You don't want me to get sloppy on the regular videos, do you? I need my sleep. So I'm going to wrap this up. But appreciate everybody stopping by, all the comments. Hey, make sure to hit the like button on the way out, okay? Even though it's towards the end of the show, hit the like button. Still helps with the views and YouTube algorithm. If you weren't able to catch us live and you're watching the replay, also, please hit the like button. It helps these live shows get those views. So I would greatly appreciate that on your way out. Great turnout for a late Sunday night. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the live show as much as I did. I had a great time. Got a lot of video ideas just from some super chats. It was a great time. Let me read this last super chat from John Teal. $2 donation says UCF better than Florida State, Miami, Washington, Oregon, Clemson, Utah. Talking about making more money. UCF is making more money than Florida State, Miami, Washington, Oregon, Clemson, and Utah. Think about that, guys, before you go to sleep tonight. Not good at all. Anyways, y'all enjoy what's left of your weekend. We will be back tomorrow with regular videos and a live show at 10 p.m. It will be the work week, so 10 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll see if any crazy news comes out for the weekend. If so, we'll go live again. But for this show, we're going to wrap it up. You guys are amazing. Another awesome show, not because of me, but because of you. But, however, it is official. Golden Blue Dude is officially out.